They thought he'd stay quiet. Let's be honest for a second. Every time someone gets let go from love and hip-hop, the official story is always the same. Creative differences, contract issues, mutual decisions, translation, damage control. But this time, something went wrong. Because Mendeecees didn't disappear quietly. He didn't post a vague quote. He didn't release a PR-approved statement. He went live. And that's where everything cracked open. Before we go any further, quick timeout. If you enjoy unfiltered breakdowns, industry callouts, and stories people don't want told, hit subscribe right now. Not later. Not after the video. Because if this story proves anything, it's that the truth doesn't wait, and neither should you. All right, back to the mess. The firing that didn't add up. When news broke that Mendeecees was no longer part of love and hip-hop, fans immediately started filling in the blanks. Some said he walked away. Others claimed ratings were slipping. A few insiders whispered about behind-the-scenes tension. But here, the problem, none of it made sense. This wasn't a background cast member quietly phased out. This was someone deeply embedded in the show's narrative, personal arcs, and long-running storylines. You don't just erase someone like that without consequences. And Mendeecees knew it. For weeks, he watched blogs speculate. He watched comment sections rewrite his story. He watched people who smiled in his face suddenly go silent. And then he snapped. The live that changed everything. No warning. No promo. Just a notification. Mendeecees is live. Within seconds, thousands flooded in. The camera turned on, and there he was, not smiling, not ranting, not panicking. Calm, focused, dangerous. Because when someone stops yelling and starts choosing their words carefully, that's when you should worry. I see all of y'all talking, he said, staring straight into the lens. I hear the stories, I hear the lies. The comments exploded instantly. What happened? Did they fire you? Is this about Yandy? He let it sit. Let the tension build. Let people lean closer to their screens. Then he dropped it. I didn't walk away. I didn't get cut for ratings. And this damn sure wasn't about contracts. Pause. It was about betrayal. Somebody close sold me out. That's when the energy shifted. Because now this wasn't about a network decision. This was personal. Somebody I trusted, he continued. Somebody real close sold me out. And just like that, the conversation changed. Was it production? A cast member? Someone inside his own circle? He didn't name names yet, but he didn't have to. You know how this industry works, he said. They want control, and when you stop playing your role, they find a way to remove you. This wasn't bitterness. This was accusation. And before anyone could dismiss him as emotional or angry, something strange happened. A verified account commented, "Be careful what you say. You know they're watching." Let that sink in. Not a troll. Not a fan. Someone from inside the industry. Mendeecees saw it and laughed. "That right there," he said. "That tells you everything." This wasn't a firing. It was a warning. At this point, the live wasn't entertainment anymore. It was a standoff. "They don't want me talking," he said. "But I ain't scared." And that's when people realized this wasn't just about him losing a spot on a reality show. This was about what he knew. "This show ain't just a show," he said. "It's a business, and if you don't move how they want you to move, you're done." The implication was clear. He saw something. He refused to play along. And the punishment came fast. Then, out of nowhere, the comments went nuclear. Because a familiar name popped up. Yandy had joined the live. When Yandy appeared, everything changed. Fans lost it. Why is she here? Is she about to expose him? Is this staged? Mendeecees saw her name and smirked. "Oh, now you watching," he said. Now you want to hear what I gotta say." Moments later, she requested to join. This wasn't planned. This wasn't rehearsed. And everyone could feel it. He hesitated, just long enough for people to realize how serious this was. Then he accepted. Split screen. 2 faces. 1 truth. And a whole lot of history between them. Yandy looked tense, controlled, careful. Her first words, "Are you sure you want to do this?" That single sentence sent shockwaves through the audience. Because that wasn't concern. That sounded like a warning. "You were set up." Yandy tried to calm him down. "I know you're mad," she said. "I know you feel betrayed, but doing this live, this isn't the way." And that's when Mendeecees fired back. The way was trusting people behind closed doors. The way was believing folks had my back. And look where that got me. Then Yandy said something that changed everything. "You weren't fired," she admitted. "You were set up." The comments went insane. Set up by WHO. Why now? Why say this live? Mendeecees leaned forward, his voice tight. "Then say it," he told her. "Tell them who did it." Yandy hesitated, looked away, then said quietly, "It wasn't me, but I know who it was." Before she could say another word, the live ended. No goodbye. No explanation. Just black screen. Silence that spoke too loud. Fans were left staring at their phones, stunned. Did Instagram shut it down? Did production intervene? Did someone pull the plug? Nobody knew. But one thing was undeniable. That was no coincidence. Within minutes, blogs lit up. Clips went viral. Theories exploded. And behind the scenes, panic. Because whatever Mendeecees was about to say next, someone didn't want it heard. And this was only the beginning. They tried to shut him up. He went louder. The silence after that live wasn't peaceful. It was loud. Too loud. Because when a live stream cuts off mid-sentence, right as someone is about to name names, that's not a glitch. That's a message. And everybody received it. Within minutes, clips were everywhere. Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, blogs racing each other to frame the narrative before Mendeecees could finish telling it himself. Headlines popped up using careful language. Confusing live. Emotional moment. Misunderstanding between cast members. Notice the pattern. Minimize. Soften. Control. But Mendeecees wasn't confused. He wasn't emotional. And this sure as hell wasn't a misunderstanding. Damage control mode activated. Behind closed doors, phones were ringing non-stop. Producers, publicists, cast members suddenly checking in. People who hadn't spoken to him in weeks were now texting things like, "Bro, maybe chill. You don't want to burn bridges. Think about your future." Translation: shut up. Because what he did wasn't just embarrassing for the show, it was dangerous. He cracked the illusion. He reminded viewers that reality TV isn't reality. It's a product. And he suggested that some people get protected while others get sacrificed. That's not drama. That's an allegation. Yandy knew what was coming. While the internet spiraled, Yandy was packing her house like a storm was about to hit, and she was right in its path. She tried calling him. Once. Twice. Again. No answer. And that scared her more than the live itself. Because she knows him. When Mendeecees goes quiet after lighting a match, it means he's already standing in gasoline. She wasn't worried about blogs. She wasn't worried about comments. She was worried he was about to go nuclear. The second live, no warnings, no filter. Later that night, just when people thought the situation might cool down, another notification hit. Mendeecees is live. No teaser. No countdown. No apology tour. This time, he wasn't smirking. He wasn't easing into it. He got straight to the point. "Listen up," he said. "They ain't gonna silence me no more." The chat exploded instantly. Question marks. Fire emojis. People begging him to explain. And he didn't disappoint. They didn't fire me because of ratings. They didn't fire me because I wasn't bringing drama. He leaned closer to the camera. They fired me because I know too much. This ain't reality, it's control. That line alone was enough to send shockwaves. But he kept going. "This show, it ain't just entertainment," he said. "It's a business, and businesses don't like loose ends." Now this wasn't just about him anymore. This was about the entire system. He started pulling the curtain back. How storylines are assigned. How villains are chosen. How certain people get grace, while others get dragged. "You think these fights just happen?" he asked. "You think these scandals come out of nowhere?" He shook his head. "Nah, they plan this, they script this. And when you stop playing along, when you refuse to look crazy for ratings, they replace you." That's when the tone shifted from accusation to exposure. Because now, he wasn't just defending himself. He was indicting the machine. The call Yandy never wanted him to ignore. As he spoke, his phone buzzed again. Yandy. Calling. Again. He looked at the screen. Hesitated. Answering would slow him down. Ignoring it would make things worse. He declined the call. At home, Yandy exhaled sharply, grabbing her keys. Because she realized something in that moment. This was no longer about protecting the show. This was about protecting him. Panic at the top. While fans were glued to their screens, another group was watching just as closely, but for very different reasons. Producers. Executives. The people who never appear on camera, but control everything you see. Phones were lighting up. Emails flying. PR teams scrambling. This wasn't a bad episode. This wasn't a scandal they could spin. This was someone from inside the house, telling viewers how the house actually works. And that's unacceptable. A message popped up on Mendeecees, screen mid-live. "End this now, you don't want this smoke." He smiled. "They scared," he said out loud. "That's how I know I'm telling the truth. Contracts, control, and quiet removals." Then he went for the jugular. "Y'all ever wonder why some people stay on this show forever?" he asked. "And others disappear overnight?" He didn't wait for an answer. It ain't ratings, it ain't talent, it's obedience. He explained how contracts aren't just about money, they're about leverage. How speaking up, pushing back, or refusing certain storylines puts a target on your back. "They don't argue with you," he said. "They just erase you." And suddenly, people started connecting dots. Former cast members. Abrupt exits. Stories that never quite added up. The chat was in full meltdown. When reality stars started agreeing. Then something unexpected happened. Other reality stars began joining the live. Not all of them spoke. Some just watched. But one anonymous account commented, "He ain't lying. They did the same thing to me." Mendeecees saw it. Read it twice. Then nodded. "Exactly," he said. "I'm not the first, I'm just the loudest." That comment changed everything. Because now this wasn't one man versus a network. This was starting to look like a pattern. Yandy walks in. Then it happened. The door behind him opened. Yandy walked into the room. "Mendeecees, stop," she said, reaching for his phone. "This is going too far." He pulled back. "Nah," he said firmly. "I'm done playing their game." She tried again, lower voice, urgent. "You don't understand what this could turn into." He looked at her. "I understand exactly what it is, and I'm not backing down." That's when the screen froze. Then black. The live was cut. The internet explodes. Chaos. That's the only word for what followed. Was the live shut down by the network? Did Instagram step in? Did someone pull strings behind the scenes? Nobody had answers. But everyone had opinions. Blogs exploded. Hashtags trended. Think pieces dropped overnight. And one thing became painfully clear. Mendeecees had crossed a line you're not supposed to cross. Not because he lied, but because he talked. The war had officially started. By morning, the narrative was already shifting. Anonymous sources from production leaked stories painting him as difficult, uncooperative, a liability. The classic playbook. Discredit the messenger. Ignore the message. Mendeecees sat at home, scrolling through it all, anger simmering, jaw tight. Some fans stood by him. Others turned fast. He thought he was untouchable. They had to cut him loose. He looked up at Yandy. "They're rewriting my story," he said. "And I'm not letting that happen." She nodded slowly. "Then you better be ready," she said. "Because once you go all the way, there's no coming back." He didn't hesitate. "I know." They flipped the story and made him the villain. By the next morning, the war was no longer quiet. It was calculated. Because when Mendeecees woke up and opened his phone, he wasn't looking at support anymore. He was looking at a coordinated takedown. Blogs weren't asking questions. They weren't investigating claims. They were repeating talking points. Difficult to work with. Uncooperative. Becoming a liability. Every article said the same thing, just worded differently. That's how you know it's not journalism. That's damage control. The insider leak that changed the narrative. Then came the leak. An anonymous production insider spoke to multiple outlets, laying out the so-called real reason for his removal. According to them, Mendeecees had refused to follow direction, disrupted filming schedules, made things uncomfortable behind the scenes. In short, he was the problem. And just like that, the internet did what it always does. It picked a side. Fans turned fast. The comment sections flipped overnight. He got too comfortable. He thought he ran the show. This is what happens when you bite the hand that feeds you. That's the part that stung the most. Not the producers lying. Not the blogs parroting nonsense. It was watching people who claimed to support authenticity suddenly defend the machine, just because it was easier. Mendeecees sat in silence, scrolling. Every swipe felt like another knife. "They're trying to bury me." He wasn't shocked. He was insulted. Because this wasn't just a disagreement over creative direction. This was a character execution. "They're making me look crazy," he said quietly to Yandy. "They're making it seem like I deserved this." Yandy watched him carefully. "This is how they win," she said. "They let the public do the work." She wasn't wrong. Once a narrative sticks, the truth has to work twice as hard to survive. Former allies went quiet. The silence was deafening. People he had filmed with for years. Quiet. People who laughed with him on set. Gone. Not a single public post defending him. Not one. Because nobody wanted to be next. And that told him everything he needed to know. The industry calls, but not to help. His phone rang nonstop. Journalists, podcast hosts, industry insiders. Everyone wanted a quote. Nobody wanted the truth. They wanted something spicy, but safe. Something that could trend without threatening access. He ignored them all. If he was going to speak again, it wouldn't be on someone else's terms. Yandy breaks her silence, privately. That night, Yandy finally said what she'd been holding back. "You weren't supposed to last this long," she admitted. "That's what they said." He looked at her. "What?" "They didn't expect you to push back," she continued. "They thought you'd fall in line like everyone else." That's when it clicked. This wasn't about drama. This was about control. The real sin, refusing the script. Mendeecees had done something unforgivable in reality TV. He refused to look stupid on purpose. They wanted a version of me that wasn't real, he said. They wanted conflict, fake tension, messy optics. And when he said no, they didn't negotiate. They replaced. Another live, this time with purpose. That night, he went live again. But this time, there was no emotion. No interruptions. Just facts. I want y'all to understand something, he began. This ain't about me being fired. This is about how this industry works. He laid it out slowly. How contracts are weaponized. How edits distort reality. How refusing a storyline gets labeled difficult. This ain't new, he said. They've been doing this for years. And then he said something that rattled everyone. Ask yourself why so many OGs disappear without explanation. The pattern becomes obvious. The chat went wild. Names flooded in. Former cast members. Abrupt exits. Unanswered questions. People started connecting dots in real time. And once people see the pattern, you can't unsee it. Quiet support starts surfacing. Not publicly, not loudly, but privately, messages started coming in. Former cast members saying, "You're right. They did me the same way. I wish I had spoken up. Too scared to say it out loud. But grateful someone finally did." The cost of telling the truth. Yandy watched from the background, arms crossed. "You know this could end everything," she said. "No more shows, no more deals." He nodded. "I know." Then he looked back at the camera. "But I'd rather lose opportunities than lose myself." That line hit hard. Because suddenly, this wasn't about fame. It was about integrity. The network responds without responding. Officially. Silence. No statements. No explanations. Unofficially. The leaks continued. The whispers intensified. The pressure mounted. Because ignoring him wasn't working. And attacking him wasn't shutting him up. The audience is divided. By now, fans were split straight down the middle. One side said he was brave. The other said he was reckless. Some demanded justice. Others said he ruined his own career. And that's exactly where the industry wanted it. Confusion keeps people from demanding answers. Mendeecees makes a decision. Late that night, he turned to Yandy. "I'm not done," he said. "They think I went far. I haven't even started." She exhaled slowly. "Then you better be ready for what comes next." Because at this point, it was no longer about love and hip-hop. This was about exposing how reality TV eats its own. And the next move, it was going to shake everything. When the bosses started moving in silence. Up until now, everything had played out in public. Lives, comments, blog posts, speculation, noise. But the moment Mendeecees started nomming patterns instead of people, that's when the real players stepped in. Because drama is manageable. Exposure is not. Emergency meetings, nobody was supposed to know about. While fans argued online, something else was happening far away from Instagram lives and comment sections. Emergency calls. Executives. Senior producers. PR consultants who don't put their names on credits. The message was simple. This needs to stop. Not tomorrow. Not after another live. Now. Because this wasn't a rogue cast member venting anymore. This was someone explaining how the illusion is built, and once the audience understands the trick, the magic dies. Mona Scott, Young gets the call. When Mona Scott, Young's name entered the conversation, the temperature changed. This wasn't gossip blog territory anymore. This was executive-level concern. Mona had handled scandals before, big ones, careers-ending ones. She wasn't emotional about it, she was surgical. The question was, is he lying? The question was, how much damage can he do if he keeps talking? And more importantly, who else might start talking if he isn't stopped? The strategy shift: don't respond, redirect. Instead of issuing statements, the playbook changed. No public denials. No confrontations. Just quiet redirection. Suddenly, new storylines dominated blogs. Other cast drama flooded timelines. Trending topics shifted overnight. It wasn't accidental. It was distraction. Because when you can't silence someone directly, you drown them out. The pressure turns personal. That's when the pressure stopped feeling professional. Mendeecees started noticing changes. Calls not returned. Meetings suddenly canceled. Opportunities that were locked and quietly disappearing. Nobody said why. They didn't have to. In this industry, silence is a message. Yandy sees the bigger picture. Yandy was the first to say it out loud. "This is bigger than the show now," she said. "They're not just protecting the brand, they're protecting the system." She wasn't wrong. Because once someone exposes how storylines are manipulated, how villains are manufactured, how contracts are used as leverage, it doesn't just threaten one franchise. It threatens the entire genre. The PR narrative hardens. Behind the scenes, the leaked talking points became more aggressive. Now it wasn't just difficult. It was unstable. Unpredictable. Acting out. Classic. Because when someone won't shut up, the fastest way to discredit them is to question their mental state. Fans started noticing. He sounds bitter. He's spiraling. This is what happens when fame gets to your head. That wasn't organic. That was conditioning. Mendeecees connects the dots. He sat with his phone in his hand, reading between the lines. They weren't trying to debate him. They were trying to erase his credibility. "If they make me look crazy," he said, "they don't have to answer anything I said." That's when he realized something crucial. This wasn't about winning the argument. This was about survival. A warning from someone high up. Then came the call. Not a producer. Not a blogger. Someone higher. The voice was calm, polite, almost friendly. "This doesn't have to go any further," they said. "You've made your point." That's when Mendeecees knew he was on the right track. Because nobody calls to negotiate unless they're worried. You're burning bridges. The warning came with consequences. "You keep going," the voice continued, "and doors will close." He didn't hesitate. "Some doors need to burn," he replied. The line went quiet. And just like that, the conversation ended. Fans start asking the right questions. Meanwhile, something unexpected happened online. People stopped arguing about whether he was right and started asking why the network wasn't responding. Why no statements? Why no clear explanation? Why the sudden character assassination? The silence was starting to look suspicious. Other voices began to surface, carefully. Not publicly. Not on lives. But through likes. Through subtle comments. Through accidental reposts. Former cast members began signaling agreement without saying it outright. Because saying it outright would cost them everything. Yandy draws a line. At home, tension filled the room. "This can't keep escalating," Yandy said. "There are real consequences now." He nodded. "I know." She paused. "But if you're going to keep going, you need to be strategic, not emotional." That word mattered. Strategic. Because the next move couldn't be impulsive. It had to be calculated. Mendeecees makes his next move. He turned off his phone. Not to hide, but to prepare. Because the next time he spoke, it wouldn't be a live rant. It would be a statement they couldn't ignore. And behind the scenes, the people in charge knew it. That's why they were nervous. That's why they were scrambling. And that's why this story was no longer about one man getting fired from a show. It was about whether the audience would finally see the machine for what it is. The moment the illusion cracked. Up until this point, the industry thought it could wait him out. Let him vent. Let him rant. Let the internet get bored. That strategy works on most people. It didn't work on Mendeecees. Because instead of fatting away, something far more dangerous started happening. People began quietly confirming what he said. The messages no one was supposed to see. They didn't come publicly. They didn't come loudly. They came in private DMs, encrypted messages, late-night phone calls, former cast members, former crew, people who had already been chewed up and spit out by the same machine. The messages all sounded the same. You're not crazy. They did this to me too. I wish I had spoken up when I had the chance. That's when Mendeecees realized something chilling. This wasn't an isolated incident. This was a system. Why no one spoke before? One former cast member said it plainly. They make examples out of people. Speak up, and you're labeled difficult. Push back, and you're edited into a villain. Expose too much, and you disappear. Not fired. Erased. No reunion. No explanation. No goodbye. And suddenly, all those unexplained exits from the past didn't look so mysterious anymore. Fans start seeing through the smoke. The audience is smarter than networks give them credit for. Once people started comparing notes, the dots connected fast. Why certain people were protected after scandals. Why others were dragged relentlessly. Why some storylines felt forced, while others were buried. And the biggest question of all, if Mendeecees was lying, why wasn't anyone directly denying what he said? Silence becomes an admission. No official rebuttal. No clear timeline. No evidence presented. Just silence. And silence, in moments like this, isn't neutral. It's strategic. Because denying him would require explaining the process. And explaining the process would expose the manipulation. The industry's favorite weapon, fatigue. When denial doesn't work, there's always another tactic. Exhaust the audience. New scandals. New feuds. New distractions. Flood the timeline until people forget why they were angry in the first place. But something went wrong. The story didn't fade. It hardened. Yandy faces the fallout too. Yandy felt it immediately. Side eyes at events. Careful conversations. People suddenly choosing their words around her. She wasn't speaking publicly, but everyone knew she was part of the story. You good? People asked. But what they really meant was, which side are you on? And that's the position no one ever wants to be in. Mendeecees makes it clear, this isn't about revenge. When he finally spoke again, not on live, not emotionally, his tone was different. Cold. Deliberate. I'm not trying to burn the show down, he said. I'm trying to tell the truth. That distinction mattered. Because revenge looks chaotic. Truth looks calm. The cost becomes real. Then the consequences hit all at once. Calls stopped coming. Deals stalled. Rooms that once welcomed him felt closed. And still, he didn't walk it back. That's how people knew he meant it. Because nobody sacrifices opportunity just to be petty. A line that can't be uncrossed. At one point, Yandy asked him the question everyone was thinking. If they offered you your spot back, would you take it? He didn't hesitate. No. That answer changed everything. Because it meant this wasn't a negotiation. It was a reckoning. The audience is forced to decide. By now, the fandom was split, but no longer confused. This wasn't about liking or disliking him. It was about believing him. Some said he was brave. Others said he was reckless. A few said he ruined his own future. But one thing was undeniable. He changed the conversation. Reality TV does look the same anymore. Once the audience understands how villains are manufactured, how edits distort reality, how silence is enforced, there's no going back. The illusion cracks. And cracks spread. That's what scared the industry most. Not one man speaking, but the possibility that others might follow. The final question lingers. Mendeecees didn't ask for sympathy. He asked a question. How many people got pushed out before me, and why didn't anyone ask? That question hung in the air. Unanswered. Uncomfortable. Dangerous. This was never the end. Whether he ever returns to the show or not, that's almost irrelevant now. Because the story outgrew him. This became about power. Control. And what happens when someone refuses to play the role written for them? The price of telling the truth. By the time the noise settled, one thing was clear. This was never just about love and hip-hop. This was about what happens when someone refuses to be controlled in an industry built entirely on control. Because the truth is, Mendeecees didn't lose his spot the moment he went live. He lost it the moment he stopped playing along. The industry closed ranks. Quietly, efficiently. No announcements. No blacklist you can see. Just absence. Rooms he once walked into freely now felt colder. Opportunities slowed. Conversations ended faster than they used to. And that's how punishment works at the top. No threats. No lawsuits. Just silence. Because silence keeps your hands clean. Why this shook the industry so hard? Reality TV survives on one thing above all else. Audience belief. Not belief that everything is real, but belief that what they're watching isn't intentionally deceptive. And Mendeecees shattered that illusion. He didn't expose one fight. He didn't expose one storyline. He exposed the process. Once viewers understand how villains are edited, how narratives are shaped, how contracts are used to enforce obedience, the entire genre starts to feel different. That's why this wasn't treated like normal drama. That's why it escalated so fast. The real consequence wasn't losing the show. It was losing protection. When you play the game, even when you're wrong, the system shields you. When you step outside it, you're on your own. And Mendeecees knew that when he kept going. That's what made his stance dangerous. And that's what made it credible. Yandy's reality check. For Yandy, the fallout wasn't loud, but it was constant. People watching her closely, measuring every reaction, waiting for her to choose a side. And whether she spoke publicly or not, she was already part of the story. Because proximity to truth is threatening in a system that survives on silence. Why no one else spoke up publicly? This is the part people don't like to admit. It's not because others disagree. It's because speaking costs too much. Careers, access, future opportunities. Mendeecees didn't just speak for himself. He spoke for everyone who couldn't afford to. And the industry noticed. The public verdict was split, but sharpened. Fans didn't all agree. Some said he was reckless. Others said he was courageous. But something changed in the conversation. People stopped asking, is he telling the truth? And started asking, why does this keep happening? That shift matters. Because systems don't collapse when one person speaks. They collapse when people stop ignoring patterns. The question that still hasn't been answered. To this day, no one has clearly explained why he was removed so suddenly, why the official story kept changing, why silence was chosen over transparency. And when powerful institutions avoid clear answers, it usually means one thing. The truth is inconvenient. This was the point of no return. Mendeecees could have apologized. He could have walked it back. He could have blamed emotion. He didn't. Because at some point, dignity becomes more valuable than access. And once that line is crossed, there's no going back. Reality TV after this. Whether networks admit it or not, something shifted. Viewers became more skeptical. Edits were questioned. Storylines felt exposed. And once the audience becomes aware, control weakens. That's why this mattered. Not because of one man, but because of what his story revealed. Final thought, this was never about drama. This was about power. Who has it? Who loses it? And what happens when someone refuses to surrender it quietly? Mendeecees didn't ask to be believed. He asked people to pay attention. And now, that responsibility is on the audience. Call to action, strong, direct, engaging. Now it's your turn. Do you believe Mendeecees spoke the truth? Or do you think the industry was justified in cutting him loose? More importantly, how many stories like this never reach the surface because the cost of speaking is too high? Drop your thoughts in the comments. This conversation matters. And if you want more breakdowns like this, no filters, no industry polish, no safe narratives, make sure you like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Because stories like this don't end when the cameras stop rolling. They end when people stop paying attention. And this one, it's far from over.